Nostalgia is something I've been trying to chase for the better part of 5 years. And despite how hard I try to chase it, the feeling is never as satisfying as it used to be. Now, I've heard a lot of people discuss this topic in depth and have heard plenty of interesting takes. But if I'm gonna be completely honest, I don't think people quite discuss the extent of just how different things feel now. Because it's honestly quite heartbreaking. Being a child was such a beautiful and magical time of my life. It was a time where everything radiated this sense of purpose and belonging. The sun was always shining, winter always came with snow, and everyone just seemed so much happier back then, especially in the UK. I remember meeting up with my friends to play sports or going out to watch a movie in a packed screening full of my local community. And it didn't even matter if it was good or bad because people would always show up anyway. And after all of that, I would come home and play video games for what seemed like an eternity. Just a never-ending session of bliss and enjoyment where I either played some Minecraft, GTA, and possibly Terraria, or even if I didn't understand how that game worked, it didn't really matter, that game rocked, man. Back then, I remember just feeling so happy in a way that felt extremely natural. I didn't have to drink, work out, or meditate to achieve a state of satisfaction. On most mornings, I would just wake up fulfilled, completely content, and ready for the day. It was an amazing time to be alive, until 2020 kind of changed everything. During this year, the transition from a teenager to adult felt extremely forced and unnatural, in a way I honestly can't even describe. Now, I'm pretty sure we've all seen videos like this, videos of people just complaining about how bad things used to be and how amazing life was before this horrific event. But this time, I do want to throw a more optimistic angle on the discussion. When 2020 ended, I was dramatically thrown out of my childhood and dropped back into a world that simply wasn't the same. Everyone who lived in my town now felt bitter, spiteful, and really fucking angry. Every store and social gathering I would go to prior slowly went out of business. And all the friends I used to hang out with, talk to, and play video games with strangely stopped talking to me for some bizarre reason, and to this day I still don't know why. Alongside all of that, I started to lose interest in all of my passions. Video games weren't as fun anymore, and making friends both outside and online was so unbelievably difficult I couldn't even begin to describe it. As the years went on, I did in fact start to find myself and discover new hobbies such as fitness and content creation. But saying I'm having even a fraction of enjoyment compared to what I used to feel would just be a blatant lie. My past 3 years of adulthood have just felt like a never-ending battle of just trying to be happy. Almost all of my hobbies exist just to keep me in a state of sanity so I don't fall into some deep depression like most of my other friends. Which is actually really sad because this seems like such a common problem among my generation. I've had so many friends come up to me and confess that their hobbies, which once gave them so much purpose and happiness, now just feel so empty and hollow. But they can't really move on because this wasn't a gradual steep into adulthood. We were kind of just spawned into this new environment with no anticipation or build-up. I honestly believe the reason 2020 hit us so hard is because we were overexposed to the things that made us so happy. Moderation was completely thrown out the fucking window because all we could really do was consume what we used to love, instead of branching out and evolving like normal people would. It's actually quite crazy recollecting on this memory because going outside was impossible. You weren't allowed to leave the house. We were nearly arrested, me and my friends, just for leaving the house. It was fucking insane. What makes this all the more worse is just how insane the world has become recently. The political climate feels beyond absurd and ridiculous to engage with. Everything is so much more expensive to the point where most people are just living paycheck to paycheck. I remember when I used to have this friend who lived in LA about a year ago, and he would constantly tell me how his business just wasn't making enough money. How he was just constantly on the verge of bankruptcy, just living paycheck to paycheck and trapped in this never-ending cycle. And as much as it hurts to say, in comparison to the life we used to have before the lockdown, the life we live today feels like a completely different universe compared to what came before. As a result of this, escapism has now just become this endless grind of trying to feel how I used to, instead of just embracing the moment and finding something else. Like, man, life just feels so much harder now in a way that feels so unintentional. When I was in school just 6 years ago, I could have never anticipated a future like this. A future where literally one exceptional moment of happiness throughout my day was just a highlight in what used to be a routine full of many. It's the absolute worst with video games, man. This is where I'm gonna go on a bit of a rant. It's been so fucking long since I've had anywhere near the amount of fun I used to have with video games. And while yes, the state of the industry absolutely plays a role in that, it also comes down to people just not wanting to play anymore. In a friend list of what used to be probably 20 people, has quite literally been stripped down to about 2 or 3 friends who still play video games consistently. God, I can just remember the days spent on Call of Duty, the hours spent playing Minecraft, and how fresh and exciting all the big releases were. I remember being in a classroom, I think it was English, where people were just so excited to go home and play Fortnite. They were excited talking about the new Insomniac Spider-Man game, or the God of War game, or whatever the big trend was at the time that felt deserved. It's just crazy to think about a time where people genuinely enjoyed video games, instead of dunking on them constantly. This one honestly might just hurt me even more. Do you remember when several awesome movies released every year, and you and your buddies would go there excited and genuinely happy, even if the movie was bad? As sad as it is to say, it just feels like all of my favorite hobbies have slowly been destroyed over time, completely destroying all of my investment in most of them. And the games that I used to play like a decade ago now just feel incredibly lonely and isolated. And don't get me wrong, some Skate 3 and Black Ops 2 will always hit differently on a rainy day, but it just doesn't come close to the same feeling, unfortunately. But the genuine point of the video is that nostalgia isn't always worth chasing, because if you're too caught up in the past and how everything used to feel, you'll never find the beauty of experiencing new things and indulging in different hobbies. Sometimes the greatest way to grow and evolve is to take a step away from the person you used to be and accept the fact that you're now someone new, someone different who has the potential to discover great passions and explore amazing interests that you never would have thought possible. You shouldn't completely abandon the past, and the fact that you're still passionate about areas of your childhood is honestly quite beautiful. But you also shouldn't be afraid to experience new things. For example, in my case, recently I've started to work out consistently, try different video games I've never played before, and I've even signed up for the military so I can attempt to evolve myself in ways I can't possibly imagine. I'm incredibly excited for that. Ultimately, our transition into adulthood has been incredibly disappointing. So much so to the point where it's created millions of adults who feel cheated and betrayed by something that was completely out of their control. And when you look at it from that perspective, it's probably natural to want to resist change because we feel like those coming of age years were stolen from us. However, the more we align ourselves with that philosophy, the more desperate we'll probably be in pursuit of that nostalgia which once gave us so much peace. In other words, find new hobbies, find new things to motivate you, and inspire a whole new wave of happiness which you never thought was possible. Anyways, that's all I've got for you guys today. I want to apologize for how I sound. I get incredibly anxious, like even now when I'm recording this, my feet are going crazy. I'm getting like crazy. I'm shaking like nuts. So if you guys could maybe like, comment, and subscribe, all of that stuff would be fantastic, and who knows, it might even motivate me to continue with this channel. So yeah, I'm probably gonna drink and go to bed. I hope you guys have amazing plans for the rest of your day, and take care. Thank you so much for watching the video, and bye-bye.